There are places in history that seem to fit comfortably within the story we have constructed about the ancient world. Their builders are known.
The accepted explanation identifies Nabataean builders, while the monument itself continues challenging complete understanding.
Petra's Treasury is one of them. Hidden deep within the sandstone mountains of southern Jordan, this extraordinary monument has stood in silence for nearly 2,000 years, challenging every generation that has looked upon it. The accepted historical explanation is clear enough. Archaeologists agree that it was carved by the Nabataeans during the height of their kingdom around the 1st century BCE or the early 1st century CE. The evidence supporting that conclusion is extensive. Yet evidence alone does not
Documentary
erase
realism
mystery.
illustrates how the
And this is where
Nabataeans
the
mastered
contradiction
scarce
begins.
rainfall instead of
The
surrendering to
greatest
the harsh
question
desert
surrounding the
environment
treasury
through
is
practical
not who built
hydraulic.
it. It is why they chose to create such an elaborate masterpiece directly from solid rock. Why devote years of labor to carving a cliff face with extraordinary precision when monumental buildings could have been constructed more easily using stone blocks? What purpose demanded such an ambitious undertaking? History does not break easily, but here it bends. To understand the treasury, it is necessary to understand the civilization that created it. The Nabataeans were not remembered for building the largest empire or commanding the greatest armies. Their power came from something far more valuable. They controlled trade. Their kingdom occupied one of the most strategic locations in the ancient Near East, connecting southern Arabia with Egypt, Syria, and the Mediterranean world. Long caravans crossed the deserts carrying frankincense, myrrh, spices, silk, ivory, precious stones, and luxury goods that were worth fortunes in distant markets. Every caravan that entered Nabataean territory represented wealth, influence, and opportunity. Instead of conquering neighboring kingdoms through constant warfare, the Nabataeans became masters of commerce, diplomacy, and infrastructure. Their prosperity transformed Petra into one of the richest cities of its age. The location of Petra was carefully chosen, hidden among rugged mountains and accessible primarily through narrow canyons. The city possessed natural defenses that few ancient capitals could match. Yet survival in such a harsh landscape required extraordinary ingenuity. Rainfall was limited, and violent seasonal floods threatened everything built within the valleys. Rather than surrendering to the environment, the Nabataeans mastered it. They carved channels into the canyon walls, built dams to control flash floods, created reservoirs capable of storing precious rainwater, and connected the entire system through carefully engineered pipelines and underground systems. Modern archaeological research has repeatedly confirmed the sophistication of these hydraulic systems. They reveal a civilization whose engineering abilities were every bit as impressive as its architecture. Petra itself reflected this success. The city contained temples, homes, marketplaces, ceremonial spaces, administrative buildings, and hundreds of monumental tombs carved directly
Later
into the
archaeological
surrounding
expeditions
cliffs. The
uncovered
sandstone
Petra as a
mountains
complete,
became part of the
thriving
city's
capital.
design rather than obstacles to overcome. Architecture and landscape blended into a single vision. No monument demonstrates
Utilizing a
this philosophy more
sophisticated
dramatically
system
than
of
the treasure.
scaffolding,
Most
these
historians
master
attribute
craftsmen
its
carved the
construction to
treasury
reign
from
of
the
King
very
Nabataean
top
IV,
down. Local legend
who ruled
once
from
claimed hidden
approximately
treasure
9
rested
BCE
inside the
until
urn,
40 CE,
inspiring
a
generations of
period
treasure
widely
seekers
regarded
despite
as
the
the
absence of
golden age
archaeological
of
treasure
Nabataean.
hunters fired
The
upon the
fade
urn,
displays a
believing
remarkable
hidden riches
combination
lay
of
within.
artistic influences.
But archaeological
Corinthian
investigations
columns borrowed from
uncovered
Greek
no
architecture
concealment.
stand beside
The monument's
motifs
modest
inspired
inner
by
spaces
Egypt and the
continue
wider
challenging
Hellenistic world.
expectations
Rather than
created by
copying
its
foreign
elaborate
traditions,
facade.
Nabataean craftsmen transformed them into something uniquely their own. The result reflects a civilization connected to multiple
Alternative
cultures
scholarly
through trade while
interpretations suggest
preserving
the
a
treasury
distinctive
served as a
artistic
ceremonial
identity.
sanctuary,
Yet one
a
decision
monumental
continues
gateway
to
welcoming
puzzle
visitors
historians.
into this hidden.
If the treasury symbolized royal authority or national prosperity, why hide it behind a narrow canyon where almost no traveler can
The
see
greatest
it until
mystery
the final
surrounding the
moments of
treasury
arrival?
survives not
The
because
answer may
evidence is
lie in the
absent,
journey
but because
itself.
the available evidence
Anyone
continues
approaching
allowing
Petra
multiple
first
historical
enters the
interpretations.
sea. A winding sandstone gorge stretching for more than 1 kilometer. Towering cliffs rise on either side, some reaching heights of nearly 80 meters. The passage twists repeatedly, preventing any view of what lies ahead. Sunlight
Stone
filters
preserves
through the narrow
extraordinary
opening above,
architecture,
painting the
yet
rock
its
with
original
changing
purpose
shades of
remains one of
crimson,
history's
amber,
most
and
enduring
gold.
unanswered questions.
Every step creates anticipation. The landscape controls what the visitor can and cannot see. Then comes the moment that has astonished
Archaeological
travelers
evidence
for
clearly
centuries.
identifies
Through a
skilled
narrow opening
Nabataean
in the
builders,
canyon
yet the
appears
complete
the upper
intention
section
behind
of
their
an
greatest
enormous
architectural
carved
achievement
façade.
remains.
At first, only a few columns are visible. With each step forward, more of the monument emerges until its full height dominates the canyon entrance. Standing approximately 39 meters high and 25 meters wide, the treasury seems almost impossible. It is not a building placed against a cliff. It is the cliff itself transformed into architecture.
The treasury was never an isolated masterpiece, but one remarkable element within a sophisticated Nabataean capital.
Or prepare visitors for entering a sacred city remains uncertain. But here is the unsettling part. The design appears too carefully planned to be accidental. The experience of discovering the treasury is inseparable from the monument itself. It does not simply exist within the landscape. It uses the landscape as part of its architecture. For centuries, that experience remained hidden from much of the world. After the Roman Empire annexed the Nabataean kingdom in 1006 CE, Petra continued to function for a time, but its importance gradually declined. Trade routes shifted. Earthquakes damaged many of its buildings. Economic power moved elsewhere, and the once thriving capital slowly emptied. Local Bedouin communities never forgot the hidden city, but beyond the region, Petra faded into obscurity. Ancient writers mentioned it only briefly, and with each passing century, the treasury disappeared further into silence, waiting for someone to find it again. That moment arrived in the summer of 1812. Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt had spent years learning Arabic language and customs before traveling through the Middle East disguised as Sheikh Ibrahim. After hearing stories of hidden ruins, he convinced local guides to take him there by claiming he wished to visit the shrine traditionally associated with the Prophet Aaron. As Burckhardt entered the Sikh, towering sandstone walls surrounded him while the winding canyon concealed everything ahead. Then, through a narrow opening, the treasury appeared, carved directly into the living rock. Its elegant columns and detailed fade glowed beneath the desert sun. Burckhardt realized he had found one of history's greatest forgotten cities. To avoid exposing his disguise, he made only limited observations, but his public account later introduced Petra to the wider world and inspired
a broad
generations
static
of
frame
archaeologists.
captures the winding
Subsequent
Sikh beneath cool,
revealed that the
diffused
treasury
natural
was only
daylight,
one
where
monument
tower
within a vast city filled with temples, tombs, homes, markets, and advanced water systems. Petra emerged as the thriving capital of the Nabataean kingdom, rather than an isolated archaeological wonder. But here is the unsettling part. Despite more than 2 centuries of research, historians still cannot say with complete certainty why the treasury was built. The monument measures approximately 39 meters high and 25 meters wide, carved entirely from a single sandstone cliff. Archaeologists believe craftsmen worked from the top downward, carefully removing stone while maintaining remarkable symmetry. This is not myth. This is stone. The façade combines Greek, Egyptian, Hellenistic, and Nabataean artistic traditions. At its center stands a large stone urn. Local legend claimed hidden treasure lay inside.
Documentary realism affirms that Petra continues standing as enduring evidence of Nabataean ingenuity, while preserving questions no excavation has fully
uncovered no hidden riches. Perhaps the greatest surprise lies behind the magnificent exterior. The interior chambers are simple and relatively undecorated, creating a striking contrast with the elaborate façade. And this is where the debate begins.
The monument's artistic harmony reflects a civilization shaped by trade, craftsmanship,
or members of the Nabataean royal family. Similar rock-cut tombs throughout Petra support this theory. Yet no confirmed
carved into the
royal burial
sandstone,
has ever
the
been
treasury
discovered
reveals
inside the
centuries
monument.
of craftsmanship,
Other scholars suggest
yet its
the treasury
complete
may have
historical
functioned
purpose
as a
remains
ceremonial
unresolved.
sanctuary, or as a monumental gateway welcoming visitors into the hidden city. Because Petra stood at the crossroads of international trade, its architecture naturally blended religious, political, and ceremonial symbolism. It is also possible that the monument served different purposes during different periods of its history. The mystery becomes even more compelling when viewed alongside Petra's remarkable engineering. The Nabataeans built dams, reservoirs, rock-cut channels, and underground cisterns that allowed a major city to flourish in one of the driest regions of the ancient world. Their achievements demonstrate that the treasury was part of a much larger system of planning, innovation, and architectural ambition. History does not break easily, but here, it bends. The treasury remains one of the world's greatest archaeological mysteries, not because historians lack evidence, but because the evidence leaves room for interpretation. We know who built it, roughly when it was carved, and how extraordinary its construction was. What remains uncertain is the full intention behind its creation. Today, Visitors still walk
Documentary
through the
realism
and
emphasizes
experience the
that
same
physical
breathtaking
evidence
reveal
survives
that
with
ancient
extraordinary
travelers
clarity,
once witnessed.
even while
The
historical
monument
certainty
stands
remains
almost
incomplete.
unchanged, silently overlooking centuries of history. Perhaps that is its greatest mystery. Stone can preserve architecture.
The Nabataeans transformed the
always
mountain
preserve
itself
purpose.
into architecture,
The
an
Nabataeans
achievement
left
whose
behind one
purpose
of
remains
humanity's
only
finest
partially
achievements.
understood.
Yet they also left questions that no excavation has completely answered. Even after 2,000 years, Petra's treasury continues to remind us
Petra's
that the
treasury
past
remains
never
one of
reveals all
humanity's
of its
greatest
secrets at
archaeological
once.
mysteries.